everyone, welcome to my channel, Books, Girls, and Purrs. Say hi, T. She's being a little pain in the butt. Say hi. No? All right, Tariel. Oh my God. Right before I start recording, she was all over me and then she ran away. All right. Welcome to my channel, Books, Girls, and Purrs. My name is Leslie, and I'm trying to keep up this year with book tags. So here we are. We're going to stick with the circle, I think, for book tags. Maybe that'll be a thing. Anyways, Pat. Book Chat with Pat actually does quite a few tags, and they just seem kind of a lot of fun. So maybe that'll be a trend. Maybe I'll just start doing whatever tags they've done recently. So here we go. Let me go ahead and pull up the questions. And this is the Snob-O-Meter book tag. And I feel like it's definitely going to lend to conversation. So I thought that would also be a really great reason to do this tag. All right. So the first prompt, what is your definition of book snobbery? To me, it's not even broadly outright saying, you're not going to read a specific genre because you just don't like that genre, but you haven't really given it a chance. Or I don't know. Sometimes there's I guess if someone has a surface level reason why they don't want to read a book, I think that's a bit snobby. Yeah, I would rather try to experience the thing before I make a judgment. So basically, if someone makes a judgment of a genre, of a particular author, a specific book, without actually experiencing it, that is kind of how I would define snobbery, at least. All right, the second prompt. Is there a genre or type of book you would never consider reading, such as would you ever read romance? Or if you rarely read romance, would you ever try science fiction? I really enjoy all genres, or at least I try to at least put myself out there. For instance, I don't really gravitate towards romance, but last year, because I knew that, I challenged myself to read one romance a month at least, and I ended up reading so much more. Actually, there's a couple of romances I still have not reviewed, and I kind of think I'm just waiting to read more before I might just cover some of them as a collective. My cat Tariel is over here. All right, does erotica count as a literature? That's a third prompt. I think it does. I mean, if you're reading it, it's literature, and it should count. And I also feel like some genres don't get enough credit because they're a particular genre. Let's say horror in literature and in movies, right? We see that even adaptation or creation of fantasy worlds or horror, they don't really have a chance to get credit or feel like I'll say in movies, for instance, or a television show like Interview the Vampire, which again, I always try to find a reason to squeeze that in. I know they're never going to get their awards that they deserve. And also, Jacob Anderson did not. He was a snubbed, and I don't understand how people can, let's say, at the very least, what was it? There was an award, because I don't pay attention to all the awards and stuff, but that, what do you call it? Nominated? Yeah, nominated Sam Reed, but not Jacob Anderson. I'm like, so how do you nominate the person that's not as much as on screen as actually the main actor? I don't understand. That's I just went off on a tangent. The question is, does erotica count as literature? The answer is yes. And you know what? There are some things that I've read that I can't unread, and I never thought I would read again. And I've actually read several times. So the smut is here to stay, and I'm reading it. The fourth prompt. Is it better to read classic books than popular bestsellers? I don't think this at all. Classics, I understand they're classics for a reason. But at some point, there's so many incredible authors that are putting out work, and I actually wish that uh, the public schools would give other books a chance. They go after the same old classics to teach, or if like in public school, if they're so dead set on like specific books being read, why don't they have like more of a comparative literature? So um, have a book and then like pick a modern day book, or what if there's a retelling of that classic? Why don't they bring both of those in to garner more interest with the kids? And I also just think that there's so many important stories, and it doesn't always have to be a classic. Yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel about it. The fifth prompt: have you ever bragged about reading a classic in order to sound smart? No. You know what? Some days I could barely string a sentence together, so I don't have to worry about being concerned whether or not I sound smart. Um, I love to read. It's my hobby, and that doesn't mean I'm good at writing or spelling or anything else in that matter. I'm terrible at math. Um, so no, I'm 40. I have gray hair. I don't really have, it's not really in my bones anyways to try to be anything other than myself. Because you know what? If someone treats you or makes you feel like you're not smart in any way, that's kind of a tip off that you probably shouldn't be spending time with them in the first place. If someone's going to make you feel that way, because um, I will never know everything, every little bit of knowledge in the world. And that's actually why I love to read so much, because there's actually so much I don't know. So that won't be me. Number 6, do audiobooks count as reading? What about comic books or graphic novels? Okay, do audiobooks count as reading for number 6? Yes, they do. They definitely do. They reading audiobooks creates accessibility. They originally created for the blind demographic to be able to read, right? Um, on top of that, me as someone that can see benefits from that. I also have comprehension issues at times. So my go-to tool is to have a printed book in front of me. And if I can, I will borrow the audiobook, and that helps me with my attention issues. And it'll just really helps me focus, um, especially if the read seems a bit dry and it's a book that I've scheduled to read and I know I really want to do it. I'm having trouble. I will turn to that audio. And sometimes just hearing someone's voice really helps because they add a particular tone that might not be coming across in a book. And there was some book too where I can't think of their name. I wish I could. If I can, maybe I'll write it in the details if I could figure it out. That actually had put out a video on their Instagram talking about like the science of it and how actually when you listen to audiobooks, you're stimulating the same part of your brain when if you would read a printed book. So it's definitely the same thing. Let me see. There's a second part to that question. What about comic books or graphic novels? They are definitely still reading. On top of that, I think comic books are a very important bridge, graphic novels, to reading a full-length, purely print book. When my daughter was younger, she had a teacher, I think in her second or third grade, great teacher, love that teacher. But they would restrict the kids and say, a part of all the different books that they have to read on their own, they cannot read comic books. And I completely disagreed. My daughter inherited my love for reading, so that's great. That's not, again, always someone else's thing, which is fine. But I just don't think that's fair. There are kids that either have trouble, again, me, I had trouble with attention. So I loved reading. I've always loved reading, but I read really slowly, and some of it's an attention span issue. Also, some people are bilingual. So it's such a great thing to be bilingual, but there can be like a little bit of a struggle early on when trying to like transition and learn. And I think it's so important to have comic books, graphic novels as that bridge. It's so helpful to see characters in a world be expressed, like merged with text. It's my jam. I love Saga is one I really like. Why the Last Man. I have Scalped, that was a series that was too dark for me. I think I read 3 or 4 of that's volumes, and then that was it, and then I was done. I think there's something Southern something. There's the Abbott series, Southern Bastards. That's the other one. That one was really good too. So number 7, have you ever looked down at someone for reading a popular fluff book, a book with with little substance to it? For example, a self-help book or a celebrity memoir. No, but you know what this made me think about? I was having a conversation with my friend Sam, and we're in a bookstore. It was actually, she's so sweet. She took me out for like ice cream last year. By the way, that was right when I became unemployed, so I was feeling down in the dumps anyways. And we're looking around in a bookstore. We started to have that conversation. I think we're like in the romance section, and how some people look down on that. Or what was my example? Oh, the Twilight series. I get it. It's not the best writing. My nieces were really into it. That was their thing. I think I read the last book and I picked it up just because I was going to see the very last movie with them, and I wanted to have an idea what it was about, or just give it a chance. And I feel like if an author writes something and it sells so well that people that don't usually pick up a book, why not? Like, why are we trashing it? You could talk about what doesn't work in a book, and that's all fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, someone's picking a book up and reading, and that could be a bridge to so much other literature, right? Especially, once again, here I am again, bringing up Interview the Vampire. I've seen other people react to the television show of Interview the Vampire and realize with this particular adaptation on AMC, how many other authors were actually influenced by Anne Rice's take on the vampire genre. And I think that's cool. That's really beautiful to look at other authors that let's say like the Twilight ones, and to see how they're influenced by other, it's just a bridge to other great writing, if I may say. As far as other fluff books like self-help or creative memoir, celebrity memoirs, I read Simu Liu's memoir, and he's a celebrity. No, just pick up a book. I'm all for it. That's someone telling their story. I don't really care if someone's like celebrity or not. Miss Pat, I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy, and Miss Pat she has her television show on BET Plus. It's called The Miss Pat Show, but all that's based on her memoir, and her memoir is very graphic, very hard to read, but I love it, and so I don't really care how that's categorized. If someone's lived a life and they have enough to say, read it. And as far as self-help, I have had trouble with self-help, but I don't think it's definitely it's there to help people, right? It's me, I'm the problem. I think I have like this like a little bit of distrust. I just don't want to read something and feel like maybe I don't trust what someone's telling me, or just going to tell me something just to sell it. I don't know. It's a me issue, but I'm getting over it. I think the only one I've read within that self-help genre was You Gotta Be You by Brandon K. Goodman. And it was an incredible read, and I'm glad I read it. And that was my bridge to self-help. And so I'm definitely open to reading more self-help at some point. So 8 is, have you ever been the recipient of someone else's snobbery? Maybe, and I don't realize it. Oh, Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that one. I don't know. You tell me. Actually, should I say this? Should I gossip for a second? Um, you know what? Yes. Actually, yes. I just realized it, but I didn't have to do with like a book thing. Um, there are some very genuine people that I've met along the way, way more genuine people than not, in the booktube space. But every once in a while, you kind of see someone's true colors, and you kind of realize they're not really interested in com- culti- cultivating community. They're really more about exclusivity. I don't know how to say that word. But I'm actually very thankful for those moments because what's that saying? When someone shows you who they are the first time, just believe them. And so that's where I'm at. So if I am kind of like on the other end of someone's snobbery, I just clock that and go, that's okay. That's not my person. They're going to find their people, and I'm just not it. And that's okay. Number 9, would you ever be friends with a snob? Maybe you already are. Mm, I think in my younger years, I would have people in my life at times that were like had like a snobbish personality, and I just chalked it up to a quirk. But now I don't really mess with people like that. Um, and I don't want to sound dramatic, but it also feels like it's kind of like an unhealthy thing. I The world's too big, and especially right now, people are outright meaner than ever in ways because they feel emboldened to do so. And so I don't have time for it. I know I could be a curmudgeon. I'm not necessarily a snob. I could definitely be a curmudgeon. And so that's something that I'm personally working on. And so I'm more interested in other people's kindness and me working on putting that out into the world. So yeah. Let me see. 10. Are people who don't read less sophisticated than are people who read could I read this? Number 10. Are people who don't read less sophisticated than people who do? That kind of that could be like that's like on the cusp of being snobby. I don't like the word sophisticated. Let's look at that. Let's focus on that. Um, no, not necessarily. You know what? This is it. No. If we're gonna talk about sophisticated, no. I'm not a sophisticated gal. I will never be a sophisticated gal, and I read a lot. So that's all the proof we need for that question. Number 11, measure yourself. Based on your answers to the previous 10 questions, would you qualify as a book snob? No, you know, not only do I like what's considered like trash books, for kicks and giggles, I also really like trash movies, the ones also that are on Netflix that, if it wasn't there, it would be on Hallmark or Lifetime or something. I like those, okay? You know what I really like that I need to catch up on? Virgin River. That's not, gonna win awards, but was I entertained? Yes, I was very entertained. Um, there's this one character's, never mind. I was gonna go off on a tangent about that show. Okay, let's keep going. Number 12, tag some people if you are watching this video and would like to do this tag. Guess what? If you're watching this, consider yourself tagged. That's how we're doing this. And below in the details, I think I'll try to tag a couple of people again. I'm going to try tagging people that I recently what am I saying? Subscribed to in the booktube universe. I need to keep track of who I've recently subscribed to. But yeah, they'll be in there. On this note, on this chaotic version, just as chaotic as my crazy hair, um, I love you. Life is chaos. Be kind. Read books. Take a deep breath. If you are in the States, things are getting real wild. And so This is probably my longest outro. I think I'm just trying to take a little sip of my tea as the world burns around me. Love you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.